This is an ABC News special report.
And hello, everyone. TJ Holmes here reporting from Times Square. We're coming on the air with the news that we have lost an icon. Trailblazing actor and civil rights activist Sidney Poitier has passed away. Bahamian ministers do confirm that the former ambassador has passed away at the age of 94. Sidney Poitier, born in Miami but raised in the Bahamas, son of tomato farmers, launched a career that went from small, hard-won theater parts to eventual Hollywood superstardom. Our Lindsay Davis has more on the life and legacy of Sidney Poitier.
Your attitudes, Mr.
Sidney Poitier doesn't make movies, a critic once wrote. He makes milestones. For 2 decades, he stood alone as the only African-American leading man. He was the first to be nominated for an Academy Award.
No more yassa.
The first to win an Oscar for this performance in Lilies of the Field.
Get yourself another boy.
In Guess Who's Coming to Dinner,
Mom, this is John.
he starred in one of Hollywood's first interracial love stories.
Well, we have this problem. I fell in love with your daughter.
From his earliest roles, Poitier challenged racial stereotypes, whether playing a young doctor whose patient died,
There is a possibility that I killed him, isn't there? Don't be a fool. That I was careless in the spinal tap. That his brother's Negro baiting got me down.
or a man frustrated by his lack of opportunity in A Raisin in the Sun.
I drive a man around in his limousine and I say, yes, sir, and no, sir, and should I take the drive, sir? Mama, that ain't no kind of job. That is nothing at all.
Or a police officer forced to work with a racist Southern sheriff in the Heat of the Night.
Virgil, that's a funny name. Boy that comes from Philadelphia. What do they call you up there?
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
They also called him Sir.
You will call me sir or Mr. Thackeray.
Poitier's dignified presence on screen opened the door for other black actors. After accepting an honorary Oscar in 2002, he said he didn't try to set the pace for others. His work was simply a reflection of his values.
And if someone saw them and felt that they were of use to them, then I'm blessed.
From a childhood of poverty, Poitier became an American icon, a symbol of persistence and possibility, of hope and excellence.
And Sidney Poitier was the first black actor to win the Best Actor Academy Award. And Mike Muse, our ABC News contributor and host of SiriusXM's show, The Mike Muse Show, is with me now. And I bring up, he won the Oscar in 1963 for Best Actor. They gave him an honorary Oscar in 2002. That was the same year that the next black man won Best Actor, which was Denzel Washington. And he joked, man, I waited all this time to get one, and they gave you one on the same night. I always remember that moment, but that was almost 40 years later. Put in context, if you can, what Sidney Poitier meant for entertainment, for movies, but also for black actors like Halle Berry's of the world and Denzel Washington's, who came up after him.
TJ, you phrased it right. That was an incredible night. I remember watching that night, and it was almost a symbolic passing of the torch, if you will. And since then, Denzel has stood on the shoulders of Sidney Poitier, along with all the incredible artists that you just mentioned, like Halle Berry, like Viola Davis, like Michael B. Jordan, like the late Chadwick Boseman. These individuals stand on Sidney Poitier because, TJ, what Sidney Poitier did was, at that time, he exemplified Blackness and the fullness of Blackness and the fullness of Black identity. He was coming up at a time in Hollywood where Black actors were stereotyped. They were one-dimensional. Until Sidney Poitier came around, he showed America and the world what Black range looked like, what it was like to be smart, charismatic, witty, beautiful, dynamic, gregarious, and he played such roles with such great depth and character. We think about that movie right now, TJ, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? It was about this interracial dating, which is now very common. But as you know, TJ, interracial dating and marriage was illegal in 17 of the 50 states 6 months prior to that release. The Supreme Court didn't overturn that until 1967. So for Sidney Poitier to play that with such range, with such nuance, with such depth, to understand the nuance and character of what it was like to deal with that time. Then we look at The Heat of the Night, which Lindsay Davis just pointed out, which was an incredible performance about this Black detective who had to go to Mississippi to do a murder investigation and dealing with the bigots of the time. Well, that was only after 3 years after the Civil Rights Act was passed. And so Sidney has always led America through social constructs, through the lens of film and pop culture on what it is to be Black American and the toils of being a Black American within this space, but also too what it means to this great liberation, right? And what it means to be great and what it means to have dignity. And then TJ also too, what he did was, and where I say all these actors of our current time are sitting on his shoulders, you see actors now like Ava DuVernay, who make sure they bring incredible range and show fullness and to make sure that on the camera and behind the camera are Black and women. But then you also see Denzel that make sure that these roles and these lines have depth. He did that with Porgy Bess. He was actually hesitant to take the role of Porgy Bess because he wanted to make sure that it was done with justice to Black Americans. And so he always thought about the character and how would he be represented, not just himself, but an entire community and a nation.
And Mike, we see so often now, or it has come up several times in the past several years in some of these award shows when there is a lack of diversity in the nominations, and we certainly remember the Oscar So White, that controversy. But we're talking about just a few nominees or a few recipients of color. He was the only one there for a while. It wasn't a matter of having a few or not enough. He was Black Hollywood for a little while, and even as we mentioned, when he won that Oscar, it was even controversy when the one who presented it to him, Anne Bancroft, actress, kissed him on the cheek. There was controversy even surrounding that. That's what he was going through. But we talk about him in the context of what he meant for Black actors coming up. But he said something in an interview in the New York Times saying, I had the attitude that I could be as good an actor as Brando, as good as any American actor of substance. I may have fallen short, but what a wonderful reach. We can talk about him in the context and how important it was that he was a Black man, but this was Hollywood and acting excellence that he should always be recognized and remembered for.
TJ, I love that you brought that up. He wasn't just a Black actor. I'm so glad you brought that to the conversation because that is so often what our current Black actors are always fighting for, is against the grain of always being pigeonholed as just a Black actor versus just being an incredible actor. You know, Meryl Streep never gets the title of a great white actor. She's just one of the best actors that there are because she's Meryl Streep. And Black actors want that same respect to say they're just one of the best actors of all time. And that's what Sidney Poitier was able to be transformative in that statement and in that regard, that he wasn't just a great Black actor, but he's one of the best actors, not only of his time, but currently of all times of our generations. And so not only was he a trailblazer and the first Black actor to get the Oscar, but he was a trailblazer in really busting down that pigeonhole of that stereotype of just being a good Black actor. No, he was a great actor. And that's what, unfortunately, TJ, though, a lot of our Black actors in Hollywood still had to fight against that narrative of just being a good Black actor versus being just a great actor.
He was fighting, and oftentimes I'm sure he probably felt he was alone or very lonely in that fight, but certainly the ones today, like you said, standing on the shoulders of Sidney Poitier, and things are changing in Hollywood. A lot of that started with Sidney Poitier. Mike, my friend, good to see you as always. But the news again today, folks, Sidney Poitier, the trailblazer, the icon, the civil rights activist, the Academy Award winner for Best Actor, and just an absolute talent and presence, has passed. We have lost Sidney Poitier at the age of 94. That word coming to us from Bahamian ministers today. Our coverage will continue on ABC News Live and abcnews.com. We will have more on World News tonight, of course, with David Muir. We will return you now to regular programming. For some of you, that's GMA on the West Coast. I'm TJ Holmes. Have a good day.
This has been a special report from ABC News.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.